What's up, Joe in Vegas here. Another review. Went to go see the Chili Peppers last night. They are probably on my list of top 10, maybe even top 5 bands that I actually have never seen. Thousands and thousands of shows in my life, and I have never seen them for whatever reason. So was super excited when they were playing Allegiant Stadium here in Vegas. That's the Raider Stadium. Holds about 70,000 people, I think, a little bit close to that. Goes back to what I always say in my reviews at these stadium shows. By the way, if you follow me, you should be following me, and if you're not following me, you should subscribe right now. Could be the greatest decision you ever make in your life is to subscribe to my channel right now. But if you've heard some of my old reviews about stadium shows, I hate them. I just don't like them. I know why they're done. These bands are so big. It's become almost like a trophy. You know, I think this tour is actually called the Stadium Tour, and I think the Motley Crue Def Leppard Tour is called the Stadium Tour, and I think, you know, they like to flex their muscles. We're so fucking big, we got to play stadiums. And you are, and you deserve to, and I get that, but I don't like them. I like, at the most, arenas, 18 to 20,000 people. And there's a lot of reasons. Traffic getting into traffic getting into it was a mess. There was an accident on the 15 freeway right where the exit is to the stadium. Made for a nightmare to get in. I missed the first, I think King Princess was opening before the Strokes. The problem I have, and I'll repeat it quickly, is no matter how much you spend, even if you're in the pit and you get the best seats possible, the stages are so big in these stadium shows that even at the front row, the stadium's high, so you're looking up at them. There's really very, very, very few very good seats. And even if you spend a lot of money, you'll always feel far from the stage because you are. And when you get too close to the stage, you're almost too close to the stage where you can't see everything that's going on. So I'm just not a fan. It's not as intimate. I'd rather see someone in anywhere from 5 to 20,000. I think that's the best spot, but I get it. What am I going to do? I can't complain. I'm happy I got to see them. They deserve to play stadiums. They deserve to make all that money. They've been killing it for years and years and decades, and God bless them for that. So, Strokes opened up. I wanted to talk quickly about the Strokes. I like the Strokes. I know they're hits, and you hear a couple songs here and there from them. For me, and I think it's for a lot of people, they're one of those bands that you always hear, and you're like, wow, these guys sound good. They sound like a cool rock and roll band. But for whatever reason, I never got into them. And again, last night, I said, you know what, I'm going to go home and start listening to more Strokes, and I probably won't. But there were a lot of fans that were there just for them. My only complaint with them, and I don't understand what they did, I really don't understand, the stage was so fucking dark. They sounded great. You can hear they sounded great. He was really funny in between songs about gambling and hookers and shit like that. But it was so fucking dark on the stage. You can barely see them. I don't understand it. You're opening for Chili Peppers. You got an opportunity to open your base of fans to a bigger audience that's never seen you live, and you're playing in almost pitch dark. And I don't get it. But they were good. They were good. You just couldn't fucking see them. So, on to Chili Peppers. I grew up in L.A. I was born in '76. The L.A. music scene was always something I was into since I was a teenager. Whiskey, Roxy, Sunset, all that shit. I was there for the end. I was old enough to be the end of the '80s hair metal days. You know, I caught the tail end of it. And then something happened in the LA music scene, and I remember it really well. And I remember following these where it was just a fusion. They were trying to find the next sound, and it was this fusion of the leftovers of the metal with some punk in there, and some funk, and some jazz, and some ska, and all of it kind of fused together. And Chili Peppers, I think, were one of the bands that were at the front of that. And they put out this sound that's so, I don't know if the word is palatable. I don't even know if that's a word. Their sound goes down so easy because of the infusion of so many different music styles or genres that it fits for everybody's palate. It really does. Like, if you're a funk guy, they're fucking Flea, man. He says it's one of the best basses of all time. And if you're into rock, there's some songs that have the rock. And if you're into soft rock, their ballads are incredible. So they hit the nail on the head. They were the perfect band, the perfect look, the perfect attitude, and you saw what happened to them. They're now playing fucking stadiums 30 years later, and good for them. They deserve it. I feel like they only got bigger and bigger over time. I don't think they've ever had it down. I think their last album maybe didn't do so well, but at least wasn't as popular. So anyway, I'm going to get into the set list. They start with I'm going to talk about the set list probably when I'm done going through it. They start with Jam. Flea and John just get out there and just start jamming for a few minutes just to get you pumped up, and then they just come with guns blazing. They start with Can't Stop, which I can't think of a better song to open up a concert to. It's perfect. It's a perfect opening song. Then they go into Danny California, Universally Speaking, Here Ever After, Charlie, what the fuck? Snow, Hey Yo, There Are the Ways, Don't Forget Me, Right on Time, She's a Lover, Blood, Sex, Magic, Other Side, Black Summer, Californication, Give It Away, then the encore. They came out and did I Could Have Lied, and they closed with By the Way. So, before I went, I glanced at the set list, because I like to get an idea sometimes of what I'm walking into. I have a... Okay, let me before... I'm going to get into the set. Here's my I don't like... I saw that they did a different set list every night, and I saw that there were different hits every night. And Chili Peppers is one of those bands that have a ton of hits. And I get it. They've been doing it so long, they're probably tired of playing all their hits, and they like to throw in the deep cuts for the real fans, and da-da-da-da. I never agreed with that mentality. I always thought, you don't know when this is going to be your last show. You don't know how many of those 70,000 people last night, like myself, that were seeing you for the first time, that want to hear all the hits. And of course throw in deep cuts, and of course throw in new stuff. You know, the whole set list is only 18 songs, which to me is pretty short. Honestly, it's pretty short for a band that size playing a stadium. If you go to see Metallica at the stadium, they played 30-something songs. Billy Joel played 30-something songs. I'm trying to think of the other bands I saw at the stadium. And you know, when you got the Guns N' Roses, 30-something songs, when you got that kind of catalog, you got to play most of it. If you want to leave out one or two hits because you just don't like it, or you're sick of it, or it doesn't speak to you anymore, or maybe there's something in there that's offensive these days that wasn't offensive 10, 15, 20 years ago, I get that. But man, I loved the concert. They are awesome. I have a newfound respect for them as performers. They look fantastic. Like, they look better now than they did back then. Anthony was always ripped motherfucker. Flea, they always were naked, and they were always without shirts on, and they were always healthy, fucking fit guys and good-looking guys. But man, it's 30 years later, and I think they're in better shape now. And their energy, I don't know what they're eating. I got to follow a Red Hot Chili Peppers diet workout program, because their energy was there. Flea was awesome. Flea sounded great, looked great, played great, jumping up and down, doing kicks, just headstands even. I mean, it was great. They were, as a performance level, almost perfect. But when it comes to the set list, you know, I loved it. I walked out of there saying that was such a good show. I had such a good time. Everyone had a great time. My friends I was with had a great show. But I was driving home later that night, and I started thinking, whoa, they didn't play Under the Bridge. That's probably their biggest song, if not top two songs. How do you not play that song? And then I'm like, oh, they didn't play Scar Tissue. It's another massive Chili Peppers hit. How the hell did they not play it? Again, I didn't really think about it right after the show. I think I remembered Under the Bridge right after the show. Like, I was surprised. But I started thinking deeper, you know? And I started going through the songs that I always liked from Chili Peppers. Even Suck My Kiss, which was older, they didn't play that. Songs that, you know, were hits, but like Soul to Squeeze. I always loved that song. I think it was from like Conehead's movie or something like that. But they didn't play that, and you start thinking about it in your head, you're like, shit, they didn't play a lot of songs. And I'm sure there are more, I can't think of right now. But, you know, you start thinking of 4 or 5 massive hits that they didn't play, and I don't know, it starts to bother me. It starts to bother me, and it takes away, I think I get more mad about how good of a show it could have been. It's not necessarily that it was a bad show. It was a great show. And I'm going to rate it as a great show. But it could have been an exceptional show. It could have been one of the greatest shows probably I've ever seen if they would have just played all their hits. Because what happens is when you go to a show, and I always say at the end of the shows, when they get into their hits, boom, 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 and you get 4 or 5 monster songs in the world. And not everybody has 4 or 5 monster songs. But if you are a band that has 4 or 5 monster songs, or 8 monster songs, that's why these Metallica shows are so good. And again, Billy Joel, I just keep thinking of those two because they were at the stadium. There's not a down song. Every single song from the first one to the last song, 30 songs later, is a massive hit. There's no downside. There's no down period, you know. And again, the Chili Pepper stuff that they were playing between the new stuff and some deeper cuts, they're still great songs. It's still a great show. They're so entertaining, and I loved it. And for that, I'm going to give them a 9.1 out of 10. And it's their songs, it's their show. They can do whatever they want. But if you're listening to this, man, if they would have just played all their hits, even the stuff they maybe don't like, they didn't play Zephyr song. They didn't. There's a lot, man. And if they would have played that, and it would have been 20, 25 songs of hit, couple new ones, couple deep cuts, hit. That show would have been a 9.7, 9.8, maybe even 9.9. So I'm more upset about how good of a show it could have been than upset at them for not putting on a good show, because that was fantastic. It just could have been epic, and it was so close to being epic. They just, again, I'm going off the top of my head, but if I sat down and went through all their hits and how many of the hits they played, and I know the diehards, and you're going to come back because I've had another reviews, you're going to come back and say, fuck you, we don't want to hear the hits are cheesy. Fuck you, dude, fuck off. There's 70,000 people there that are there to hear the hits. There's a smaller portion that don't want to hear the hits at all and want to hear the deep cuts because you've seen them 35 fucking times. But most people haven't seen them 35 fucking times. That's our first and maybe our last time to see them, and I want to see all the hits. I want to hear all the hits. I want to hear the deep cuts too. I want to hear, you know, the stuff that, you know, that are obscure, that you, oh my God, they haven't played this since 1980. That's cool, but you got to have that core. You got to have that 15 hit when you're that big and have that many hits. They didn't play a lot of hits, so 9.1 I think is a fair score based on what could have been, and it could have been epic, and it was fantastic, but it wasn't epic because of that. So that's my review. If you were there, if you've seen them before, leave your comments. If you want to beat me up, I don't care anymore. I'm getting tough skin. You can beat me up in the comments. I don't give a shit. But you should subscribe, and I appreciate you listening, and I want to see what you have to say, so leave comments. And that's it. I'll see you at the next show. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.